Yeah, so the thing is, like when it comes to Malayalam movies, there is like the feedback is also just from the Malayalam audience. It's not like you don't have a diverse that kind of a diversity is not there when it comes to Malayalam industry.
Hmm. In
So
But
India,
I
like
don't think that's the case anymore because it's
yeah.
the reach is like it has
yeah,
extended to the
now
rest of India as well.
especially I think even after like Muthon and everything,
Hmm.
like
And they're making
very
pan
well
Indian films
done.
also. Like the setting is not necessarily in Kerala anymore. They have, I mean, they have stories in Bangalore. They have stories up north. So
Hmm.
Yeah,
it's a
like
familiar territory for other people as well.
not even a single frame is in Kerala technically. It's
Hmm.
either in Lakshadweep or it's in Bombay.
Correct.
I mean,
That,
I couldn't understand the half. I don't like even the Malayalam part of it. I didn't kind of completely understand. So yeah,
that is because it was a Lakshadweep accent, so that's a different.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but that audience happened because there was a huge resurgence in the Malayalam industry and the content, and then again the outbreak of the whole
True.
OTT platform and people like when you search good movies on Prime, you get proper results. So people are saying, okay, they're recommending that you watch this movie, random movie, and we'll provide you subtitles. You don't have to take any effort. We will give you whatever you need. And so they started watching these movies, and people loved. Like the biggest result of that was Kumblagi Nights, huge pan India reach. Kumblagi
Yeah,
Nights
Yeah.
came.
true.
Everybody has seen Kumlangi and Prema. Everybody has seen Sodani. So all these different movies, they came, they happened.
Premam is like
Huh?
I think even before OTT it went places.
Yeah, yeah. Premam.
Premam had a huge fan following in
Premam
Tamil
and
Nadu. Like
Bangalore.
Yeah,
it
it
made
ran for
they would
1
probably
year.
seriously consider becoming a solo hero in Tamil as well. And then
Who?
Richie didn't work out, so he
Yeah.
had to
Did
come
not
back.
work out.
Yeah.
So he just came back. He is another version of Priyadarshini. What is it that like stops us from like to the reaching to places where a Tamil movie or Telugu movie reaches? Why would that be? Because I don't think it's exactly language. Because
Hmm.
like if then
It's also culture, the cultural differences and the barriers that it like there is a certain sense of
I
nativity
think
that
these
is
are the
associated
strongest
with
part
these
Tamil
films.
movie.
It is in the voice cut.
Sorry. No, I'm saying some films are set in like a proper Malayalam. There's that nativity associated with the films, so the reach is limited in, when you look at it that way.
Exactly.
It can work the other way around also. If you have a very Tamil movie that is set somewhere in a village, and
Hmm.
because of the cultural differences or the differences in the dialect that they're speaking, it might not have as much of a reach to the
Correct.
Kerala audience, as
Correct.
opposed to the mass masala films that the that Vijay and Ajit and Surya and all are doing right now.
I think while we are on the topic of that, like if you talk about all these movies that the mass Malayalam movies,
Hmm.
you have to always consider that like there is always an underlying theme of. It's not exactly an underlying theme, but then there is always some sort of a casteism that plays in Malayalam movies, if you think about it.
Correct.
So it's always like there is always the Taravada concept, like a
Hmm.
Tamburan concept,
Hmm.
something of that sort that is always like underlined.
Hmm.
Even
Correct.
if you take it
No, but
like
see, underlined in the wrong way because
Mangalashirin Neelakandan. Let's just take the
yeah,
iconic Mangalashirin Neelakandan.
Hmm.
Or like even the villain came from, like his name
an
was
affluent
actually
background, like
No,
Texan
no.
an affluent
Let's
caste.
not dissect Devasram. That is not fair. Devasram belonged to a different time. It was not prevalent at that time. Okay, it is like if you make one film in a year or probably in 5 years, wherein it is about a Tambaran and another Tambaran fighting, it is fine because we have a lot of period films which do that. Right? Period films are what they don't cater to the normal. They're not talking about the subjects. They're talking about the kings. Right? So even in that way, also you're trying to represent higher class and all that stuff. Whatever. Point is,
but then
there's
the
no
thing
point dissecting Devasram for that. What I'm trying to say is,
no,
after a point
no,
in
my
the
question
2000s, it became a
I'm
trend.
no, my question is I'm genuinely I don't remember out of my memory. Do we have a mass movie where it's about like somewhere it's set in slums or there is a gang war or something of that sort, like in that period? Do we have, like, I don't exactly remember.
I guess Big B.
Big B, there was the.
See, again, there's that dialogue in Maheshindra Prathigaram where Crispy says,
Correct.
Lalaton only
Lalaton
does
only
upper
do-
class roles, but Mammootty does like
Exactly.
everything.
That was a
And that
clear
was
cut
so
comedy.
true.
That is a clear cut comedy. You
No,
agree?
I don't think Mammootty also, like, if you take about all his iconic movies, it's are about all upper class itself. Like, even Mammootty is also not very different in that. I beg to differ.
No. Mammootty has also done a zookeeper, this leopard movie. I forgot.
Mrigaya, yeah.
Done those
And then
kinds
Surya Manasam, where he plays a retard.
yeah.
Yeah, but that's not like a
He went
mass.
full retard in that movie. And you never go full retard if you've seen
No,
Tropicana.
But this thing, Surya Mansa will not wear like the art house movie even for that period, I guess.
What are your opinions about 2020, the film that had everyone?
Yeah. Okay. It's like again, like I said, it is insane to think that an entire industry came together, shed their egos, right? Shed everything. They're like, okay, fine. Industry is dying. We need to work for the industry, which is something very unique about our industry. I don't think I've seen it elsewhere. Okay, I don't think I've seen it in other industries or whatever. And like, you cannot imagine Bollywood doing that. It's just too many ego clashes that are possible, right?
Yeah.
Here, Mammootty, Mohanlal, Suresh Gopi, Jairam, Dilip, they all come together. They said that the industry is sinking. We need to fucking save this. I don't know why they chose Joshi of all the directors, but they did choose Joshi, and they made the movie. The movie was entertaining. Like, I remember being in fifth standard and thoroughly entertained by the movie because I got to see all of them together in one screen space.
It was
But
not when
again,
we were
if
in.
you look, I look at it today. I hate that movie. It just sucks big time. So I don't know, maybe at that time it worked because it was so new for the audience. Like, even in Bollywood, we had not seen something like that. Like, we hadn't seen Shah Rukh, Salman, and Amir come together in one movie, Rocket. They didn't do that. Our people did. So that in itself was a huge thing. And plus, before we get into the whole thing, it was a sure shot. It was going to be a sure shot success because each of these actors have a flourishing fans association, right? And they would just flog the theater. It was very simple. Like, first day, Mohanlal fans association will go in. Next show, Mammootty. Next show, Dilip. Jairam, Suresh Gopi. And then that whole loop will keep repeating. And they'll keep coming back to the theater to watch the movie. So it was going to be a sure shot success. There's no question about that. But maybe they could have done something more with it because they were together, the powerhouses of the industry together, and if they could have done something more with it, I don't know. It just, even as a mass film, it doesn't qualify that
So
well.
the thing is, I think it's one of those cases where, like, my recollection of that movie is pretty really different from that of Surya's, because I remember going to the theater, and I explicitly remember this as well. It was around 2008, I guess, when we were having the Mumbai attacks or something. I remember this also. I remember going to the theater, watching that. And I remember coming back home, and I think the 12-year-old me then felt underwhelmed by that movie.
True. Like,
This is
I
my.
was, yeah, okay. I was not underwhelmed by the movie. I was not underwhelmed by the movie in any ways. Because I felt the money that I spent was like, I got it back. Like, Paisa Vasool was completely there. That aspect was there. But as a mass movie, like, as, like, say for example, Ravana Prabhu, like, when he says a certain dialogue, like, Mone, this is Cartier. He just gives the watch back. That moment is goosebumps. I never got that in 2020, which I should have, because it had Mohanlal and Mammootty on the same fucking frame. But they couldn't translate that well. They couldn't bring that out that well. They completely underutilized these amazing performers. We have to agree that they are very good with the dialogues. They're very good when you give them a good dialogue. They can nail it. They know how to work swag around. They know how to hold the audience's glance just with their own charm. And yet 2020 completely failed in doing that. It just became this huge, like, khichdi of actors coming in and doing, like, nonsense, and then just the movie just ending in a very, I don't know, weird resolution.
But I think the success of 2020 also led to films like Christian Brothers.
Yes.
What about that?
That did
No,
happen.
there was something. No,
Let's
there was
not talk
something that
about
was more disastrous.
huh?
Does anybody remember Chinatown?
Oh,
I
shit.
actually watched that movie.
Refi, no?
Half Rafi McCartan. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to remember.
Yeah.
No, but Christian Brothers. Christian Brothers was after Chinatown or before?
Somewhere around the same. I think it was before Chinatown, maybe. I don't know. I don't remember. But I think Christian Brothers, in comparison to Chinatown, was at least something close to being decent.
Christian Brothers was decent.
In comparison to
When
Chinatown.
compared to Chinatown,
No, it was
it's
bad.
justified, I guess.
Have you watched
justified.
Chinatown?
Yeah, I have. Okay, I have done.
The thing is, you pull off.
Love him, but this
I'll
is
tell
not
you.
accepted.
If
This is
one of us pull off a skit right now at this moment in video conference, it would have still been better than that movie.
It would still be better. Yes, I agree with you. They just tried the whole hangover thing. I don't know why they did.
Yeah, it blatantly ripped off Hangover.
They just went like completely. Like even that was a huge problem back then. People were not making original content anymore. They just like, oh, okay, I don't want to make it, so I'll not. Right, so they were copying other industries like blindly, and English movies.
And sequels also were coming up a lot, I guess.
They were
Like of the hits from before. Harihar Nagar was there. Then they did stuff like the very obscure stuff like Kasargod Kadarbai. Junior Mandrake, Senior Mandrake. Yeah, exactly. But then people started cashing in on like the value that the films had from before.
Correct.
I think when it comes to sequels like Harihar Nagar, like all three, I think I enjoyed third one especially more than the second one maybe. And I don't know.
I enjoyed all three actually.
See, the thing is, I don't expect any sense to come out of a Harihar Nagar movie.
But the first one was brilliant. It was not a senseless comedy. First one was on point.
No, like irrespective of its like the first part. Back then, like when I was, my mind was conditioned to the fact that this kind of movie, it's not meant for any sense. Keep my brain back home and then just enjoy it. So maybe because of that, I kind of liked it.
Harihar Nagar, what? Which one? Third one?
Two and three.
Okay.
Go
what I'm saying is, like in Harihar Nagar, the first one, right? In Harihar Nagar, whatever. The story was a solid story. It was a 100% solid story, and they were completely working off that. They were not working off the actor. They were not working on Mukesh and Appukutan and all these people. They were working off the characters, right? And it really came through very well, and that is why the movie became a huge hit. The second one didn't make as much money as should have actually, because they ruined the second half of the movie. The first half, again, comedy was brilliant. It was thoroughly entertaining. And like I said, I have still not seen the theater erupt that way in my life so far. Right? I have not seen the theater erupt like that ever since. But that said, the second half, just everybody's like, what the fuck? What happened? Why was it like this? Why did this thing happen? What is the like? There's this huge tonal shift which there was no way that the writers could explain, and they just went with it. Like, oh, okay, fine. Lal was like, okay, this is how it is. And then third one, they just stopped trying. There was no content. There was no effort for content. Just him trying to parody the horror movies, maybe that is what their attempt was, but it failed. I just didn't like it. It just didn't work, right? And even now, Siddiq Lal, I think even if they come together today, they won't be able to make a Harihar Nagar or a Manar Matai or even a Ramoji. They won't be.
Yeah, because the time has passed.
That time has passed. That I don't know. That there's some magic at that time that didn't translate into this era.
No, but it's not like stories like that don't have any relevance anymore. It's they still do, right?
Correct. Exactly.
But it's just that it would be repetitive.
No, it
like
won't.
trying
No, I'm talking. Look, if you take that particular era, Siddiq Lal, right? Harihar Nagar happened. Godfather happened.
Godfather happened. Yes.
Manar Matai. All these are four very different movies. They're all comedy movies, but they're very original films. They have an ensemble cast, agreed. But all of these movies have a very interesting dynamic to it, which is very different from the other film. Like you cannot say a Manar Matai is even similar to its own sequel, which is Ramoji. They have a lot of differences in the way they treated the subject, right? But the same thing they're not able to bring in today's era because they're too worried that the audience today won't get it. The audience wants something new. They want hatke. They want something. So that is why Siddiq is still doing a Fukre and I don't know King.
No, but exactly. So why do you think Siddiq went from that to like maybe to an extent Vietnam colony, and then it just went completely downhill with this thing, Ladies and Gentlemen, and the more recent Big Brother, which is probably the worst thing to have happened to Kerala this year in terms of movies.
Yeah.
Let's not go into Siddiq's that part of filmography. Like,
No, I'll tell you why. That is what I was saying. That
But it holds good here in this context.
No. I'll tell you. No, that is what I'm saying. This particular filmmaker, I feel, is worried about the generation. Like, oh, Samay, how much has time changed, and how many things have changed in this past 20 years. They're so worried that oh, I will not be relevant if I do a film that suits me or that I feel is important. So they intend, like when I saw Fukre, okay, I don't know why I did Fukri or Fukre, whatever.
Fukri.
Sorry, Fukri.
Fukre is the Hindi one.
what even I was thinking.
Sorry, Fukri, fine. He has a powerhouse like Jayasuriya on his side, right? Like, agreed, whether whatever you have your opinions about, I feel he's a power packed entertainer. Okay. So
he's awesome.
This guy makes a film like Fukri. Fukri is a lot of gags that he's trying to make, wherein he's just trying to make fun of the current scenario. Like he's trying to there's a part of that movie wherein there's this person, he's a voice actor and he does protests. So he does the chanting and all that stuff, right? So he says, I practice my voice, like I practice my voice on daily basis. So he's like, oh, you're like some method actor, and they all just start laughing, ha ha ha. That is the gag in the movie, right? He doesn't want to take himself seriously, but he's not able to completely go through with it. But I feel like if Siddiq makes the kind of films that he actually wants to, he will still nail it. Siddiq and Lal. I still feel that.
No, but he's been consistently going downhill. Somewhere in between there was King Lear also. What the hell was that?
I did mention that.
I saw bits and parts of that movie, and I kind of
not required. We know the result of that. My point is, these directors, they are in their own heads, is what I feel. Like that happens.
But it's coming to a point where the films have become unwatchable.
Yeah.
That is sad, right?
That is extremely bad. Like Steven Madden recently did a movie called Saigal and the Partner, something like that.
Saigal Padugan.
He did a movie like that, and they didn't have even one theater. So Sibi Malel, he was the ultimate director at that time, the best director of that time. Today is here. So why did this thing happen? Because they didn't translate. But Satyan Andikad is still moving, is still making a Nyan Prakash, which the audience is liking. It may not be a huge hit, it may not be a revolutionary movie, it may not be something that people are going to discuss, say, 10 years from now. But he's still making a movie and it's doing well and people are appreciating it and they're watching it.
Satyan Andikad, his advantage is like he played the same card always. Like the Satyan Andikad movie back then, like even during the plastic era, like now they're all the same. Like he always catered to the feel good, like the slice of life kind of genre. Even before like something like Mahesh and the Pratikaram and all came, it was the only source of this, like a consistently feel good movie that Malayalam industry had. You think about it, like you had this one, Rasadandram,
Vinodayatra.
Super movie.
Kadhaparayambol was not by Satyan Andikad.
Kadhaparayambol was not Satyan Andikad.
That was
Mohan. Innate Chinda Vishayam.
Yes.
Pudhiya Theeragal.
Yes.
Exactly. So these were all his, like he. I think he only did Sandesham also.
Yes.
Correct. He did.
Yeah. So this is like he would take the topic somewhere in the nearby itself. It would be somewhere something that involves family, like someone struggling with unemployment, all these things. So he was always consistent with it. There were never like ups and downs.
Agreed. That is
So
what
I
I'm
think
saying. That he was able to translate himself from that 90s era where he was making Balagopal and M.A.
the
Nadodi
thing is,
and all these movies.
but if you think about it,
Again,
there
we'll be.
was a time,
Yeah, sorry.
there was a time when Satyanandikar used to have a minimum one release every year.
Correct. He made 50. He's made
So
over 50 films.
yeah, exactly. So the thing is like that also matters. So he never had any major breaks. There were no comebacks or like there were no like gaps in between. He
Hmm.
was testing his audience every now and then.
Hmm.
Maybe that again that feedback kind of a factor played out well for him. I
Maybe.
think the biggest break he had was Jnana Prakasham, like
Hmm.
after Puriya Teerangal or something.
Hmm.
That was the biggest
No, he
break.
had a film in between that, no?
He had, I know.
Jomanda Suvisheshangal.
There was another one with Mohanlal. Ennum Eppozhum. I think.
Ennum Eppuram.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. And then Sneha Veedu.
Snehavid is also good. Like,
I think, yeah, every year he has one release, or every other year he has
almost,
one.
yeah, almost every other year he has released. True, but what I'm trying to say is he's still like Snehavid is a very it's a very to that time for that time it was a very good movie. Like it fit the time of that film's release, right? Like Mohanlal was playing a father's role. The son was like the subject was also in its own way very different and interesting. So what I feel is Satyanandikar is able to adjust himself as per the year, and I am very sure that he'll make at least movies for the next 4 years, 5 years, maybe more. Like that is what I feel.
There was a time when Satyanandikar was only relief for the Malayalam audience. Like
Exactly.
the time when Rasudandram and all like released, it was only his movies, that wouldn't like sell the cheap slapstick comedy and
Right.
like wouldn't make a complete joke out of someone's common sense.
Correct. Correct. Like okay, there is another aspect to this that people say we should you why don't you just leave your brains at home and come and watch this movie? Like, do you agree with that concept? Like when Priyadarshan made Oppam, right? And people started pointing out one odd loopholes, like okay, this loophole, that loophole. They pointed out. So he's like, oh, why are you coming and watching? He said this on a radio. He's like, don't come and watch this movie with your brains. Just leave your brains at home and come. Do you think that is
No,
the
but
right?
that was a psychological thriller come murder mystery. How can you leave your brain at home for that? Like, if you
Correct.
find
Exactly,
loopholes,
exactly.
Exactly.
they
Why
are
do
loopholes.
There is a movie called Three Kings, which
hmm.
is which is Tom and Jerry of that. Which
Which
is
is
a Tom and
Dhamal.
Jerry of that.
No, it's
Okay.
Dhamal's remake.
So yeah, so the thing is when you have books, like the genre is that, like just it's a kids movie.
Correct.
Okay. It's
Hmm.
something that's made for a 4-year-old. Okay. Their target audience is 4 years. Yes. Yes. Actually, if you think about it, there are movies that appeal to the kids so that, like the kids, they will bring their parents as well. So it becomes a family entertainer.
Okay.
Okay. So there are movies that is made in that category.
Hmm.
But when you are saying about a psychological thriller, you cannot expect the audience to not think.
That
Like
is what I'm
your
saying.
film is going to work only if they think.
Like again,
Exactly.
coming to Priyadarshan for the 100th freaking time in this podcast. Okay. Oppam was his comeback movie. Like he was about to retire. He had declared that I'm retiring. His family was broken apart. His wife has divorced him. Man is in shambles, and he picks himself up and makes Oppam. So I feel like somewhere there's this insecurity of him not being able, not wanting to defend himself, and just saying that okay, why don't you just leave your head and come and watch this movie? Like, just leave your brains and come and watch
No.
this movie. Have fun.
So,
It doesn't
see,
work for a film like Oppam.
Like that. Yeah, I don't know why he said that, but I was really appalled by it. I was like, why would you say that? So, my point is, a lot of the directors of that time, right, who were making these so-called plastic movies, are like, "Arey, you guys had fun when you were watching it. That 3 years you guys had fun. Then why are you complaining now? Why? What is the point of this podcast? Is what they're asking.
I think so.
They'll be like, "Arey, at that time, you were supposed to leave your brain at home and come and watch this movie. is what their logic
The
is.
thing is, so there is something that, like Nolan once said in an interview. In the day and age we are living, the same movie a particular person watches it over and over again. Like, you might not everybody watches like, obviously we didn't watch all these classic movies when it ran in theater. Like, we always watched it when it came back in TV.
TVs
So yeah. So the thing is, like, you need to leave something for the audience, for them to make it worth to watch it second and third time.
Correct.
Okay, sometimes the comedy, the timing, the everything is so good that, like, you will watch something like Kilakam, just all the jokes by heart, but then
Correct.
you would still watch it.
Exactly.
You would still watch it. Okay,
Exactly.
because of the fun for it. But then, like, that is not going to be the case for all movies. There are going to be movies that are mediocre at best. Okay. And there are going to be thriller movies which needs to be, like, you need to have a brilliance for that. Because, like, okay, one time you can surprise an audience in the theater, but then definitely some kind of network is going to pick it up. It's going to come back. So if they already know the spoilers, like, you don't exactly have to watch the movie also.
Correct.
So, like, one person telling you a spoiler is enough. But then you need to have something. I will tell you a case in point for this is Kahani.
Correct.
Oh,
So
yeah.
yeah, so I watched it like very recently, like a week ago, and I know the story. Like, I knew the spoiler even before I watched it first time.
Okay.
But I watched it. I didn't watch it in 2012 when it released. I watched it in 2015 when I was in college. I watched it. I knew the story. Even then, it was worth for me because there were so many bits and pieces left here and there for me to pick it up.
Correct.
And I read the script of that movie, I watched it again, and then there were still new discoveries.
Correct.
And something of the same thing in Malayalam would be Manichitra Thara. If you watch it even today, no matter how many, like, and I have seriously tried this, every single time you notice a new thing.
Correct.
You need, like, if your plan is to make a brilliant movie, then, like, you have to go through it. Like, you cannot, like, make a thriller genre movie and ask people to not think. It cannot be justified by any way. So it depends. It depends on case. What kind of movies are we talking about? Like, should we leave our brains, like if you're talking about like 2020 again, you just came there to see, like, all the hype of that movie. You just wanted to see all these people, like, having their slow-mos, saying their dialogues, like, all this action and blah blah, all this shit, and that's it. They I don't think they promised anything more than that to any audience, and I don't think anybody had much of a problem with it also. But if you're like, like, publicizing it as, if you're selling it as a, like, masterpiece, then you have to own it up.
That is what, like, what is your thought on the no-brainer thing? Like, why do directors say that? Why is it that they're not confident in their own content? Like Oppam, again, it is not. It is a great movie. I like the movie, but why did he say that? It is. I didn't, as an audience member, as somebody who saw the film and saw the film twice before I heard Priyadarshan say this. So I never found these so-called loopholes that he was talking about. Right? I never noticed those loopholes that he was talking about. But why did he say that? That really worries me, because why is the director not confident in his own material? Why is he still saying that you leave your head in the fridge and come in? Some dialogue he made, like, you leave it at home, forget about those 3 hours and just come and watch and then you go back, is what he said. Why do you think he said that? Why do you think he or the other directors justify their movies or their mistakes like that?
Like, just one thing, Surya, over here. Like, I think when a director sets out to make a movie, I think it is a very basic thing. Like, you two should be knowing much more about it. Like, it's a very basic thing to give your characters enough backdrop, enough background, and, like, enough justification, at least in your head, to
Yeah,
every single thing that happened.
exactly. Okay.
I think like, I have worked with both of you in short films, and even for something of the kind we did, we went through that whole thing.
Correct. Okay. Agreed.
We had a justification for whether we made it clear in the movie or not.
Hmm.
We always had that link. We always had that backstory
Hmm.
handy.
I think it's simply the way people react to criticism or constructive criticism.
Hmm.
Like Priyadarshan chose to do it that way. I think Siddiq chose to do it this way. It's basically
Popular.
about who they are as individuals, I guess.
Hmm.
I remember like Priyadarshan once saying in an interview that why were his works not original? Like a lot, most of his, at most all of his Bollywood movies were just remake of some or the other Malayalam movies. Why was that so? So he just, what he said was like it was okay, badass, but still he was like, originality just means undetected plagiarism. So I'm not good at copying.
Hmm.
So people realize that this is a copied stuff.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
This was the kind of response he gave.
That
I
again,
think,
Priyadarshan is a whole other podcast. For me, he has made 100 movies. I can literally sit and discuss each of those movies. So let's not go into that.
no, not even, I'm not talking about his movies, but then I think it's like his way of dealing with criticism, maybe. So
Maybe.
like, yeah,
Hmm.
I I don't think like he has tried to like come to defend any of his acts or anything. He's like,
No, no,
okay,
he's never
fine.
done that. He's never done that. But we'll talk about Lal Jos and one of the most iconic movies of that time, Classmates. What is your
I
thought?
was like,
Oh yes,
What is your thought?
amazing.
yeah,
Classmates was amazing.
The ultimate
that's me
Russian
too. Yeah, I think
Like it came out at a time when we were in our lower primary, but it made us nostalgic about a college life that we didn't have.
we
Like that speaks volumes about the film.
film and the filmmaker as well. What is your thought?
Yes.
it kind of brought in the like what we come to think about like the Mukesh, Jagadish, all those teams. Like
Correct.
something of that sort came up in that generation. The Jayasuriya, Indrajit, Prithviraj, Naren, that combo.
Correct. Correct. But like what I feel like Lal Misha is also Lal Joshi, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
Lal Jos. Kalyana Raman is not Lal Jos, okay, that is somebody else. But
Rafi
Shafi.
Rafi,
Rafi
okay.
Mukherjee.
But what I feel is, again, Lal Jos was the last of those directors who gave content the ultimate priority, and he was ready to experiment with anything. Like I don't remember his recent movies, but back then, if there was one bankable director, it was Lal Jos. Like you were certain that if not for a very happening movie, you will definitely have a movie that will deliver something. Like there will be something in it which is worth exploring, right? Like Classmate was a complete revolution in the way it was structured, narrative wise, everything, right? Because at that time, nobody had seen a movie like that, and they did complete justice to it. All the actors, the music was great, everything just, it was like this one massive stroke of, I wouldn't say luck, but for lack of a better word, I'm going to say that. Just a massive stroke of luck. Like it just came together so beautifully.
He had films. Very recently, he did Nalpati Onnu, which I'm yet to see. But
Okay.
apparently, it was revolutionary because it spoke about atheism and the whole Shabrimala thing.
Okay.
Uh,
I didn't
but
see.
before that, he had Tattamburattal Achyutan, which I did not like as a film at all.
I didn't watch that.
Uh,
He also did
but
something called Sundara Ratrigal.
He did
yeah,
what?
A. Sundara Ratrigal was him bringing Dilip back, the combo coming
But,
back together
but
again.
if you think about it, Arabic Kada was also by him. Diamond Necklace was also by him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
They're not bad movies.
Hmm?
They're good movies.
what?
What
They're,
they are not. I'm not saying bad movies. They were really good
Arabicada
movies.
and Diamond Necklace are like, yeah,
they're
I'm
good
not.
highlights of
I'm
his
movies.
not.
That's what I'm
I'm
filmography,
not
saying.
bro.
trying
That's
to
what
put
I'm
in the
saying.
bad Lajos movie
Okay, no,
category.
when she said it, he also did these two other movies as well as it.
No, like in comparison, like so, he is another case of Ranjit. I would say
Hmm.
Lajos and Ranjit are like kind of parallels. You can draw parallels because they are the ones who dare to
Stood the
experiment.
test of time.
No, no, Ranjit has a huge problem. I don't know what it is, but there is something wrong. I was just discussing that with Ashwin. There is something wrong with the way, like, there is something wrong. because he will make Nandanam, he'll make Tirakkada, he'll make all these Pranjetan he'll make, and then he'll make a, what was that? Loham.
Loham,
He'll make Loham. He'll
Puttan Panam,
drama. He's Puttan Panam.
drama.
All these.
Yeah.
Why is he in that? Why is he in this weird dichotomy? I don't understand. Like, what is the?
I can just someone tell me, like, it's seriously, I'm not saying it as a criticism, but then I have never enjoyed Ranjit Mohanlal duo, that pairing. Can you tell me
Even
one
Spirit,
Spirit. Nee, Ravana Prabhu, they start.
Spirit.
Spirit, Ravana Prabhu.
Ravana Prabhu, I don't like it. I'm never going to. I will not take back my words. I hate that movie. I think I did it back then. I still hate it. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. I will not take this back.
Okay, fine. I'm not asking. Fine, fair enough.
Yeah. Okay.
Not debating.
I didn't exactly. It's fine.
Hmm.
I don't know. It was during the phase where I have come to hate the all-knowing characters that Mohanlal was really into.
Okay.
The intellectual genius he kind of portrayed in almost all of his movies by then.
At that time.
I had grown really tired of it, and Spirit was really in line with that.
Correct.
But I think Spirit did have some really good, really progressive
Moments.
thoughts of, like, a couple divorcing and then moving on.
Moving on, yeah.
Especially the wife moving on.
Correct. Okay.
And like even the character of Lena. I think, like, she was a police officer.
Okay.
And then, like, there was a scene where, like, she's having an argument with Mohanlal, and back then, like, for a lady character who is not, yeah. Hello?
Yeah.
Could you repeat that?
Could you repeat that? Correct.
Yeah. So in Spirit, there was a scene where, like, Lena, after she has, like, the issue with Mohanlal, she actually meets him in a party and she's having an argument with him. But then, like, she is not portrayed as a bad woman with bad character in that movie. But like, still, like, there were elements of it that was too progressive for Malayalam audience even back then.
Correct.
Like
this is the same thing with all his films. He doesn't like, if you pick even Tirakkada for that matter, the idea of portraying the star, the lady, the female superstar's life and what happens to her and why the whole problem happened to her and why her career ended so abruptly. He does it so beautifully, and I love the fact that he chose that narrative style, like of Prithviraj being a new age director who revisits the old age and tries to.
I love Tirakkada.
Yeah,
like, Tirakkada was a brilliant movie for a lot of reasons.
Yeah, again, that is one factor. Second is Pranjit. Like, all these films are films that are taught in mass communication classes. Like, they teach Pranjatan and Saint, and yet he makes a Loham. Like, where is the justice in that? Like, why does he do that?
I think sometimes he just, like, maybe it's like, he makes a movie with a lot of effort, he puts in a lot of thought, and then he would be like, Chalo, let me just make a lazy movie. I feel like that's the only way I feel like, that could happen in his head.
Like, we missed one film out of his filmography which actually won the national or the state award. Indian Rupee.
This is Indian Rupee, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Very narrative-wise, it was a very interesting movie. Very, very interesting. Right? It didn't have a lot. Like, the concept was the only thing in it, and it worked so beautifully. Like, he used the characters so effectively, and I really liked the ending of that movie because it was so.
I was going to come to it. Like, the ending of that movie, like, kind of, it's clean, exactly.
Correct. So there is the finesse of a very good screenwriter in the way he writes. Like, if you look at Devasaram, you won't believe that it came from a very young Ranjit because the resolution was so solid, right? The ending of the movie was so iconic because he knew how to end it. He knew what to do and how the whole trajectory of this character, how he just is the worst person at the beginning, the worst kind of anti-hero that is possible. and how he just completely falls flat and he's completely lost the game, and now he has to come back to his life, and the realizations that he have, the arc in that storyline is so beautiful, right? And the way he resolves it at the end, how the whole the hand cutting iconic sequence happens, right? And I feel like somewhere it did feel abrupt, and that is why probably he made a Ravana Prabhu, which was again, you may have your own disagreements with it, but I feel story wise it was a very solid movie. Yes, it didn't sort of mesh the way it did with Devasram. Like Devasram, everything was very organic. In Ravana Prabhu, the comedy had to be fit separately. The love story had to come in separately. Everything, nothing matched with the actual storyline. It just had to be brought in separately. It had to be injected into the story. But again, Ravana Prabhu is also good sequel to Devasram, is what I felt. So there is the, how do I say, there is a seed, no, not the seed, like he's too mature for a seed, but he has the quality of a great screenwriter, and yet he makes the bad films, which is, I think there's something else to it than him just being lazy about it and him just being like, I don't want to make a.
I think these movies are also like star vehicles, or them relying on Ranjit's bankability with his experience to deliver a hit for them when they desperately need it. And that to a great extent explains why films like Loham and Puthanpanam came out. Despite the lack of a good storyline, it glorified its heroes, and it was basically catering to the masses so that people would flock into the theaters. And if at all there was a dwindling sense of I don't know stardom that these two people felt, they were brought back into the action by delivering hits. But then it backfired and it didn't work.
It just didn't work. Like
Yeah.
Puthanpanam, for that matter, demonetization only had happened like 2 months back, and they made a film on it immediately. I don't know why he did that. Maybe if he had sat on it, thought about it for a while, he could have come up with like something like an Indian rupee or maybe a Ranjit. I don't know. Maybe. And he was relying a lot on the whole accent, Mammootty doing accent stuff. We didn't talk about Rajamouli.
Yeah, the small gimmicks, exactly. So Mammootty doing the accent thing, because that's a stronghold that he has. So if you add these small gimmicks, then you can bring the masses to the theater.
Maybe.
And just through that deliver a hit. But that didn't work.
Okay.
It worked back in the 80s, but then it failed back in.
Not in the 80s, it worked even with Rajamanikam, it worked the whole
Yeah.
Again.
Yeah.
Rajamanikam was very radical. The change in accent was very radical.
After Pranjatan, I think like people just got bored of it.
Yeah, probably.
Like there is an extent to which it can work.
So we were talking about like the guy next door feel that these accents give, like they make them feel like these characters are somebody who we know, right? Like Pranjatan is definitely somebody in Thrissur.
Pranjatan is like, so there is this one. What happened is like my dad was watching this movie, and like I never back then at least I didn't know the Thrissur city as such. But then when he watched the movie, and there is this one like scene, it's a very small scene in his office, Pranjatan's office, where there is a Chedati. Okay, who is the accountant. My dad's reaction to it was like, yeah, this is what every Thrissur, so every Thrissur person would be a very good salesman.
Correct.
The case in point is like if you go to a Joy Alucas showroom, there would be a lot of salesmen who would be from Thrissur with that Thrissur accent, and the way they sell things is very different.
Correct. Okay.
So they don't exactly sell the product. They sell based on the customer. Like they like target your emotional. They just make a personal connection with you. So they build their loyal customer base. That's how they do the business.
Correct.
My dad was like, this is spot on. There will be this Thrissur like families who have been doing this particular business since ages, who has an established empire there, and there will always be the accountant will always be an elderly sister kind of a figure. There will always be a Chedati in every single office.
Correct. Okay.
This was his reaction. So it was like a very minute detail, but then the extent to which the script actually, had details.
Correct.
That was the beauty of that movie.
Correct. And again, different narrative. It does not follow the traditional storyline format. There is no like strict story to it. It is just multiple episodes joined together by this
Episodes.
common character
Exactly.
translated. Right. And the final story is the one that takes the punch. Like the final episode is what is the most the one that creates the actual change in Pranjit and who he is as a person.
I think we're talking about Pranjit, and we should definitely talk about that six wala scene.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean, to make every single person watching that movie actually try that out.
Yes. That is
It
true.
is very difficult. If you try to implement such a scene now, I don't know how much it will work actually.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know why it worked back then. Maybe because it was something like that didn't come out. It was new back then. But now when I come to think about it, like why? How did that scene actually work? Because if it went wrong, it could have like landed really wrong also.
No, but it was a sure. I feel like it was a sure shot troop. Like it was a very well planned sequence. Like it was very
Yeah,
well.
the execution of the sequence.
Yeah, it was
Exactly.
very well written into this script. It did again the same thing that I'm talking. There is no injection of plot point into this. He's again in this also. Priyamani's character is so perfect. She just flows into the story and she flows out. There's an in and out for her, right? There is an in and out for every character, and that is why Pranjatan is taught to students in school. I mean, in colleges, because that is he knows every character has a strong, solid resolution, right? There is a clear cut arc for every person. What is happening with this person and how he's going. And the
There
most
is a
important thing,
backstory to every single person.
correct, exactly. They're complete humans. They're not just
There is
there
a
for
story
that
why
moment and they're
there
out.
is a there is a strong backing up why Priyamani says she doesn't exactly say no, but then she will say no to Mammootty.
Mm-hmm.
Where she explains that, like the reason why she was put into a lot of financial constraint was because she fell for a wrong person. So
Correct.
she will not. So there is that strong, clear, like everything is sorted. So we know that the director has thought through this, and like he has portrayed it also. So this again comes back to the point where like this is not a movie where you have to use a lot of brain. This is a movie where they could have
No, but
publicized as like keep your
if you
at
do,
home. But then even
get dragged into the
if you
whole
think through it,
if you do use your brain, you'll get dragged into the whole God versus imagination theory of it. Like whether Pranjatan actually saw Saint Francis or he didn't, right? Like whether that was actual or not, whether it's a figment of his imagination.
hallucination.
Each person has their own opinion, right? So
That could be.
huh?
It could be like
It
so.
could exactly.
If you
That is what I'm saying. He left something for the audience as well to go home and think about it, ponder about it. Maybe like he told in a very indirect way what the man's relation is with God, right? In a very subtle, in a very neat and clean manner, without offending anybody, without being controversial about it. He told a very clear cut example of what the relation of God and man is.
the same thing he has done with Nandanam.
Nandanam, correct, exactly. Nandanam, but he was a little bit too. I mean, Nandanam was on the nose. Like he was going at it. That was the central core of that movie. That God was
Yeah, maybe like so maybe it was like his way of like sorting out Nandanam, like like just reimagining Nandanam in a different way.
yeah, maybe. True. But again, Nandanam and Pranjatan are two very different movies. They're not the same. They don't. The cores are different. Like Pranjatan is about this person trying to become a good Samaritan. He is trying to be a good person at the end of it. He realizes that by not pretending, like the end of the movie is him trying to accept that I am who I am. And there is this beautiful sequence where he concludes it, right? So it's like towards I think the later half of the movie, there's an ad shoot that is happening, and they gave him this huge line where he says all these dialogues and all that stuff. And he's like, "Stop, cut, cut, cut. Ye sab bakwas hai. I will do my take." And he says it in his way, and he kills it, right? So the story is about Mummuti becoming comfortable in his own skin, right? And Nandanam is about a lady's devotion to God, and how that devotion, how far that devotion takes her, or how the whole universe conspires to make her dreams come true. That sort, something of that sort.
But if you think about the two characters, there are kind of like parallels. Now, if you come to think about it, you can draw parallels because, like, the character of Balamani, she was the reason why she had so much of devotion was because she was kind of alone in her life. She didn't have anybody. She was like sort of an orphan. And if you think about Pranjiyatan, that is his case as well. He didn't have, like, he had his friends and everybody, but still he was a lonely person.
Lonely person. Deep down, he was lonely. True.
He was lonely.
I'm not denying the parallel. I'm just saying the core of the two movies are different, so they're different. Like the treatment they received was very different. Ashwin, any thoughts? You've been quiet for some time.
No, I was just listening the entire time. But yeah, the way he chooses to handle spirituality in two different ways, but basically telling the same story is what, like Surya said, is correct. Or was that Gopika? Who brought up the point that they're both similar films? Yeah. So yeah, the fact that she drew parallels between Pranjiyatan and this thing. But yeah, there are two different treatments of the same underlying concept.
Yeah.
The way the central character deals with spirituality, and also the whole takeaway of how humans, the relationship between humans and gods.
Yeah.
So that. Yeah.
True.
No further comments.
That is true. Nandanam, she gets a return because she's a good person as well. She does a lot of help. Okay, I am.
Yeah, but in Nandanam, she is like good throughout. But in Pranjiyatan, it's essentially like a transformational story about how this man really wants credit for all the good deeds that he's doing, and then finally he realizes that is not required anymore.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, there's no point of taking a mic and announcing to everyone that I am a good person. It just should come from within.
But don't you think?
So in that way, the characters are very different.
That is the plastic age of cinema. Yeah, we did divert, but again, like he said, we took solace in the good movies of that era, I guess. The ones who actually tried.
Yeah, so, but do you think the plastic era of Malayalam movie is as bad as it looks like now? Because a lot of movies we talked about,
were great.
It did come out during the good movies. So I agree the number of these good movies were kind of less, but then that is bound to happen like at any time in any industry. Like there are going to be bad movies. There are going to be some movies that will try. This is just bound to happen. So that ratio might be what determines it, the era, but still.
No.
I
think.
But there was a clear existence of a time period where films were consistently bad. And we had to wait for some respite in the form of at least an above average movie.
Yes.
And that clearly happened.
Yeah, and the above average movie, when it came, people celebrated it like it was a great film.
Yeah.
Because
despite it being mediocre, it did so well.
If you really go back to what we discussed about the golden age and the kind of films that we discussed, we were actually talking about the art of these films and the screenwriting of these films. The only screenwriting art that we spoke about today was Pranjiyatan and Ranjit, right? Up till that point, we didn't speak of that aspect at all. Any of the technical aspects?
Yeah, much like in the films, the script aspect is lacking in our podcast also.
Yeah.